happen. Okay, Areva, I'm going to start with you. Are you afraid that people are going to hear and see what they want to see and not necessarily read and look at all the facts?
You know, there's been so much coverage of this, Don, and people have formed opinions about it. You know, those that want to believe that Officer Wilson should be indicted, I don't think any decision by this grand jury is going to change their decisions about that. They've seen the witnesses come on, you know, program after program and talk about Mike Brown's arms being in the air, surrendering as he was shot by Officer Wilson. So it's going to be very difficult to change those individuals' opinions no matter what comes out of this grand jury.
And I remember being there, Van. We were both on the ground, and the day the videotape came out in the convenience store, and you could clearly see, and there were stills, and there were people who were comparing the stills to Michael Brown being on the ground on Canfield and what he was wearing. And clearly, to the people in the media, it was the same outfit. But the people on the ground were saying that that's no way, it's not the same outfit. And I was just wondering what is going on where people are wanting to see what they're wanting to see or not believing what's in front of their eyes. What's happening?
Well, I mean, a couple of things. First of all, let's just be clear. The violence that people are talking about, they're so afraid of, we need to bring out the National Guard for. You know, you and I were there. I don't remember us coming away saying the people in Ferguson are violent and the police are very responsible, they're very professional. We came away saying the police are provocative, the police are tear gassing people, the police are really rationing it up. The governor, if he's going to intervene, should be intervening to make sure that the law enforcement is as peaceful as most of the protesters were. I just wanted to make sure I said that. But I do think that people have low trust for this law enforcement agency. You do have a city, which we forget now, 80 to 90% of all the warrants and the arrests are against the African American community, and that's way before Michael Brown was killed. That level of over-policing, overzealousness toward this community from this police department has created a lack of trust, and that has to be addressed.
And it's a distrust, you say, because even if people will say it's planted, it's not there, we know exactly what happened. Is that what you're saying?
Because they've had experiences themselves where they felt that they were singled out and targeted, and the statistics are shocking in that they really bear that out. So I think we've got to give people a little bit of credit here. They're not talking about a law enforcement agency they haven't had experience with. They have, and that's why you have such distrust.
And I do have to say something. Van, I agree with you for the most part that we did see, for the most part, the protesters were peaceful in Ferguson, but there were some agitators in the crowd. That's not the bulk of the protesters. Yeah, and we did see some provocation on the part of the police department. So it wasn't just, in my estimation, and from what I witnessed with my own eyes, just police. There were some provocateurs in the crowd as well. But David, you know, as a former police officer, explain imminent jeopardy to me. What would have to be made appropriate an officer for Officer Wilson to shoot Michael Brown? What would be appropriate?
Well, the basic notion is that when a police officer's life is in jeopardy, he or she has a reasonable belief, is the standard we talk about, and that reasonable belief could be formed from a number of reasons. I mean, the classic example is the shootout. A suspect's got a gun, he starts shooting at the officer returns fire. My situation some 32 years ago, a guy attacked my partner with a butcher's knife, knocked him on the ground, is trying to drive the knife through his throat. So my partner's life is in imminent jeopardy, and that's why I shot. So we have that basic notion, and one of the things that appears to be in the offing here is the notion of an officer shooting to prevent his gun being taken away. And officers all across the country know that many officers are killed with their own firearm. In fact, officers are trained that in every interaction there's at least one firearm. And the FBI statistics show that in the decade ending 2012, from 03 to 2012, 43 police officers were murdered with their own guns across the country. So if there was a struggle over Officer Wilson's gun, and he has a reasonable belief that he's about to be disarmed, officers are trained to shoot their gun, to shoot the suspect off the gun. So whatever went down in the vehicle, if something went down to the point where officer felt he was going to be disarmed, deadly force would be appropriate.
All right.
But Don, can I just
Then
weigh in on that for a moment?
You can do it in less than 10 seconds, Areva. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, we also have to look at what happened outside the vehicle. So he may have believed his life was in danger inside the vehicle, but once Michael Brown started to run away from that car, it's also important to note whether that officer believed his life was in danger then as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, does it say something that he was turning back around rather than running away from the officer?
But 35 feet away is not the same.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. And quickly, David.
Well, absolutely. And so I was trying to work it out to that point. So there was some type of a short foot pursuit, and then if in fact Mr. Brown turned back and was coming back aggressively at Officer Wilson
Which
a
nobody
second
saw
time,
and nobody
a
said.
logical police officer could say that he is coming back to try to disarm me again. And I've been saying from the beginning, we have to wait till we have all the evidence and all the witness statements, and then we can start to say whether this witness's statement lines up with the physical evidence or that witness's statement lines up with the physical evidence.
Thank you,
We
guys.
just have to wait.
And I gotta go.
They're doing with the grand jury.
If witnesses had
Sorry,
seen
guys,
a
I have to
man
go.
charging a police
We will
officer
be
getting
right
shot,
back.
there wouldn't be protest.
We'll be right back.